everyone. Welcome back to Salt and Burn This, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Sammy.
I'm Valerie.
Thanks for joining us again. Sorry, I hit a wall about 20 minutes ago.
Oh, no.
Like right when I asked you, oh shoot, let's set a time, and then it was...
It's like, yeah, I know that. I actually fell asleep this afternoon. And I didn't mean to, but I did. I fell asleep. And then when I got up, I was like, oh no. Because for me, waking up from a nap, my body doesn't like napping.
Yeah.
It wants to go to bed.
Uh-huh.
You know, so, and then I got your text. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I got to rally the troops here. So I poured myself an iced wine.
Oh, hey!
Hey. Cheers. So I was super excited to show you, like the new T-shirt and the keychains and stuff. But I was also super excited to show you that I got contact lenses.
But you're not wearing right now.
Correct. Because I tore one of them.
Oh, no.
And I have no idea how. I did it. And so when I went to put them in this morning, I was like, oh, that doesn't look right. And of course, if you need contacts, you take your glasses off to put your contacts in. Are you looking at the lens? No. It's like, why won't it go in? I finally put my glasses on. I looked at it. I was like, oh, that's not right. So I don't get to show you my new contacts. I was so excited because I was going to be like, notice anything? You know?
So I'm guessing they're not the disposable kind?
They're like 1 month wear, so you have to put them in and take them out every night, but they're good for a month, or in my case, 5 days. Now, granted, I don't know how many times you're allowed to drop them in the carpet.
Gross.
Before they decide to tear on you.
Yeah.
I don't know when I did it. I may have torn them when I took them out last night because you have to pinch them on your eye.
Yeah. I've only worn the special effects contacts and only like 2 or 3 times, but it's an oogie feeling, and especially if it's not something you started doing when you were young.
Well, I told you have to sit through a class.
Yeah, I remember you said
somebody.
You had to,
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I told the woman who basically just sits there and watches you struggle for an hour to put in your own contacts. I was like, my friend Sammy's a makeup artist, and she's done my eye makeup for, hundreds of opening nights, and I am like the worst person because I'm like, Sammy can't even do my waterline. I'm so ooged out by it.
Yeah.
And I said, so now I have to stick my fingers in my eye.
Yeah.
And do this. And she was like, your friend Sammy should be here. I'm like, I know. And when I finally did get one in, I was like, Yahoo! And she's like, let's call Sammy.
So when I was editing, there was a part when we were talking about the different Santa Claus legends and the branches of Santa Claus.
Brothers or helpers.
Right. So there was one where we read 2 different things. It was Bells Nichols.
Yes.
And sometimes when I'm editing and we come across like a thing where I don't want to say we're in disagreement, but we obviously read 2 different things.
Right.
Then I'll be like, what did I read? what did she read? Just to kind of to check up. And I cannot believe it didn't hit me. Maybe it was because I read it as Bells Nichols and not Belsnickel. But Belsnickel is like a Dutch thing, and it was featured in the episode of The Office.
Oh.
Dwight, do you know Dwight? I know you don't watch the show, but
I know the character. Yeah,
the guy who Rainn Wilson plays, who's just kind of a weird guy.
Weird guy.
But one of their Christmas episodes, he dresses up as the Belsnickel.
Oh no!
And he tells this whole little legend about. I haven't watched it recently, so I don't know. But it was because he's kind of this indiscriminate. Maybe he's Amish, maybe he's Pennsylvania Dutch, maybe he's German. Who knows what Dwight is?
Right.
He's a little bit of all of these things. But I think that maybe kids were in the office, so he decided to not read, like, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, but, like, The Legend of the Bellsnickle, dressed as this, like, crazy woodsman-looking guy.
who tortures children who are bad.
Yeah, so, like, whips them, like, on the ankles or something. It was very... yes. So it's like, I did not come across that, obviously. I would have mentioned it.
The number of times, though, that I've done that after you've put an episode in the can and walked away from it, I'll be like, oh, wait. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. I said, oh.
Yep. Yeah. No, I do it too. But that one was just, oh, duh.
Especially for you, Sammy.
I know.
It's like my little, like, I seen it, or my references are so obscure or so old that no one's going to back me up or call me up and be like, why were you talking about the A-Team? You know, it's, Knight Rider didn't have, I mean, that's, yours are pretty relevant references.
I also wish that I would have had my, because sometimes I don't have the DVD box with me, so I have to resort to the Netflix description. The Christmas one, so much better on the DVD box, which is...
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say on Netflix. I was like, what?
No. The Netflix one is never better. Especially now that they've become like total cheeseball, and I love it on the DVD box.
On the DVD box?
This one is What Comes Down the Chimney, Santa Claus. What Goes Up the Chimney, Screaming, Clawing Victims of the Anti-Claus, a pagan god with an unjolly thirst for blood. Scary Christmas, Sam and Dean.
Oh, that's funny.
It's really funny.
Even funnier that both Sam and Dean in the episode tell each other Merry Christmas in very opportune times.
Yes. And I know this was 2 episodes ago, but I don't care. It needed to be said out loud.
We're referencing almost every episode we've done in every episode we do, so it's okay.
So, on to this one. Season 3, Episode 10, Dream a Little Dream of Me. With the aid of a plant called African Dreamroot, Sam and Dean dreamwalk into Bobby's mind, hoping to discover who, or what, put their friend into a coma. Story by Sarah Gamble and Catherine Humphris. Teleplay by Catherine Humphris. And directed by Steve Boyum.
All right, so speaking of obscure references... While I was watching it, I didn't make the reference initially, but it came to me as I was trying to figure it out. Because again, these earlier episodes I watched so long ago that either I can't remember them or I skipped them in the process of watching the show because I was watching them on like TBS or the WB when they were just played nonstop on TV. So this episode, I remember bits and pieces of it. Mm-hmm. But I don't, when I was trying to figure out the whodunit, basically, the monster whodunit, I was like, this is a movie. I've seen this movie before. And I was right. There's was it 1983, 1984 movie with Dennis Quaid, the father of now Jack Quaid on The Boys, called Dreamscape. And Dreamscape is about this guy who has the ability to go into people's dreams. And because he has this ability, he helps people. He goes into their dreams and helps them in their dreams. And he's hired by the U.S. government to help the president, who is having nightmares, basically.
Wow.
And so in this process, while he's in the president's dream, something else, he finds the thing that is also a dream walker, basically. That's torturing the president, trying to kill the president in his dreams. I'm like, aha! I knew it. Now, at the end of Dreamscape, there's some of the worst special effects ever in a movie for the monster thing that's haunting the president, which thankfully Supernatural they don't do. But anyway, so I was watching this. I was like, aha! I got it. Dreamscape. Dennis Quaid. So if you want to check out an obscure 80s movie, Yep.
Maybe.
And that was back when Dennis Quaid was like hottie bo body.
Yeah. I
Actor.
enjoy Dennis Quaid. It also has a little bit of Inception in it, but of course that was well after this episode.
Yeah. But and of course, Dream a Little Dream, the title, is the title of a song.
Yeah.
By Mama Cass, which you just sang for us. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep singing. You can drop in the singing anytime, Sammy.
That is one of my favorite songs to sing, actually.
Well, it's just so melodic,
It is.
You can just sing it and sound good while you're
and I
doing
play it
it
on the ukulele too. I know how to.
Yeah.
It's one of the few I know how to play.
Next episode, you should pull out your ook.
Yeah, it's
and see if you can match it to any particular supernatural episode.
Right. That would be a good TikTok series, maybe.
Strum diddy strum diddy strum.
Yep.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so in our recap, the then stream of consciousness of evil sons of bitches, Lisa's popping in, Bella's popping in, how to work around Dean's demon deal, and Dean's journey from apathy to fear of the demon deal.
Yep. That demons used to be human. They didn't just become. They were human and then they become demons.
Yeah.
That's a very real possibility for Dean.
Right. But they played like the scenes even from the very beginning when he's just like, fuck it. I've just got a year to live. I'm just gonna rock it out. To even the little chat he had with
Ruby.
Ruby and Casey.
And
I think they popped in a little bit of Casey Demon in there too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but Ruby's
maybe unless I filled the blanks in my head, but
I don't remember seeing Casey, but I won't say she wasn't there.
Right.
Because she's always with us, Casey. Yeah, because that's Dean kind of being slapped in the face with, you're not just going to hell. You may become something that you hate.
Yeah. So in our now, we got Bobby. Bobby's back.
Hey, Bobby. Bobby. We learned a lot about Bobby in this episode.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it.
I was like, finally.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of times where I literally did this gesture, and I was like, finally.
There it is. So he's looking around his house. It's like a version of his house. It's not quite
a clean
house.
version of his house. Like there's no books stacked anywhere. But it's still, I called it old-fashioned.
Yeah.
So it's his house, but it's not brand spanking new. It's not old and dingy, but the filmography of it is kind of dark, kind of faded. Like they took some of the color out of it.
Yeah, there was like a filter over the
wash,
scene.
I guess,
a wash.
They call it. Yeah. Nice but old-fashioned house, and he's doing the supernatural flashlight. He's hunting for something in the house, but he's acting a little nervous about it. There's like the wind is howling outside, and he's looking kind of instead of investigative, he's looking more trepidatious about what he's about to find with this flashlight. And we hear this we heard weird whispers, like something went behind him, or what's going on. And then we hear this woman scream, and she screams and she leaps onto Bobby and thrashes him to the ground. This scared the crap out of me because she came out of nowhere, and she was screaming like a banshee. I mean, it wasn't a woman who was scared running into Bobby. This was a woman screaming and attacking Bobby in this frantic, out of control. It took Bobby by surprise, took me by surprise.
And it's not only her that's frantic, it's the camera and the editing is also frantic, adding to this, really getting your heart rate up. You're nervous, you're tense.
It was a jump scare moment, and it worked. I'll be like, check, you got me. Yep.
So throughout this camera, there's kind of glitching flashes going on. We cut to Bobby, who in real life is asleep. In a motel room,
and tucked into bed.
The housekeeping staff comes in, tries to leave, but then realizes
they notice Bobby. They're like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah, sorry. And then through a series of cuts between his dream and real life, she's frantically trying to wake him up because he's not responding to her.
Yeah. Her shaking him, saying, "Sir, sir," translates into what the woman in this other world is doing. She's shaking him and pounding him,
Yeah.
and just as the woman who's trying to wake him up. But take a moment to also discuss this motel room.
You know what? 13-year-old me would have died for this motif. I wanted so badly to have like a tropical theme.
Oh my gosh. Peacocks everywhere. The color of the room was like blue and teals, and
it was
even
very
their
jewel
costumes.
toned. Mm-hmm.
Even in their costumes later on, if you look at their wardrobe, very matchy to the motel room.
Yeah.
There was even the first thing that caught my eye was the room divider. There's almost always a room divider in these motels, which I love. It's their signature, look.
Yeah.
But it was made out of these what I call peace doves. My parents have, ever since I was little, they have one religious icon in their house, and that's it. As far as religion goes, and it's a little plaque about this big, and it's just a picture of one of those doves. If you take it, because that wall divider had a whole bunch of them.
About. Mm-hmm.
Just one of them, and just the word Pax, P-A-X underneath, which is Latin for peace.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the only religious icon in my parents' house, and it's something that I've recognized as being in my family forever.
Yeah.
So when I saw those birds on the cutout, I was like, oh, it's a peace dove. So maybe not, but awesome hotel room. Even the carpet is like shag green carpet, like grass. So it's like, I want to be a peacock in that room.
Okay, so moving on. Got the title splash. We have a great song playing.
Doobie Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Long Train Running is playing with Sam in the background at a bar drinking.
Yeah, Sam is at the bar drinking. At 11 a.m., it turns out.
Right?
And Dean is just as shocked as we are. You're like, okay, usually this kind of behavior is reserved for me.
Right.
Like, this is way out of character for you.
And it's acceptable for Dean to do it.
Yeah,
Not acceptable. Even Sam was like, what? I can drink and hit on women. Dean looks around the bar and there's like 2 women, including one of them is a waitress, and one of them is this, I don't want to say she's unattractive, but she's not a Dean type of girl, wearing like cougar on her shirt. And Dean's like, Slim Pickens here, so what are you doing?
Yeah. Sam's depressed because he cannot find a way out of this demon deal for him. Right. And he's also depressed because Dean doesn't want to be taken out of the deal. Or it feels that way to him. He's like, it feels like I can't save you because you don't want to be saved.
Want to be saved. And that's what I think he's really upset about. Yeah. Because he says that point blank. He's like, I can't save you. And Dean's like, yeah, I told you that. And he's like, no. Because you don't want to be saved. Yeah. What is it about you that you don't like, that you don't think you're worth saving? He's like, that's just sad. Mm-hmm. That Dean doesn't think that he's worth saving anyway. So what's the point in trying? And that's what really has Sam drunk. Yeah. At 11 o'clock in the afternoon.
And thankfully for Dean, phone call interrupts and saves him from having to.
Yeah. Somebody calling for Mr. Snyderson.
I didn't look it up. I did zero research on this.
That's okay. It doesn't mean anything. Okay. It was just a name, and it just means that it just goes further into the depth of the lives that these guys have to lead, which is secrecy and aliases and code names and stuff like that. Right. So somebody is calling for Mr. Snyderson with some bad news about Bobby.
Yeah. One can assume based on Dean's reaction and the speed in which they rush out of there.
Right. And rush to Bobby's bedside in a hospital. So Bobby did make it to a hospital, which is great, but he's still completely comatose and no one can wake him up. And the doctors have no idea why he's in a coma, so they can't treat him for anything. Right.
Because otherwise he's perfectly healthy. He just went to sleep and didn't wake back up.
That'll be a theme, ladies and gentlemen. Went to sleep and did not wake up. So
here's our map quest moment also, by the way, is we learned that we're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Which I have worked in. I love Pittsburgh. But it is nothing like anything they show. They barely do any outdoor shots. I mean, there's woods and stuff like that. That's not Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Never been. Been to other parts of Pennsylvania, but not Pittsburgh. But Pennsylvania's big, so.
'Tis.
They hop into Bobby's motel room, assuming that he's here on a job, because otherwise, why the hell else would he be in Pittsburgh?
Why would anybody be in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, so they're looking for the signs of being on a job. Research, weapons, yada
Food
yada.
boxes. Yep.
Sam finds it in the closet wall behind the shirts on the rod.
Yay, Bobby. Keep it hidden.
Yep. And I just want to give out there's a lot of props that I want to give out to this episode, but right here I want to give a props to the props peeps, because I love the way that they set up the research walls or the serial killer walls, depending on who we're looking at. But particularly this one, and I don't know why I loved it so much. It was just so layered and textured, and I think because of all the pages of botanical drawings, yeah. It just looked so Victorian or science-y to me.
It was also very neat and tidy.
Yeah.
It wasn't frantic and scattered. Yeah, which we've seen on Hunter's walls. So, they do try to connect the props with the show. It's not just random stuff. Sometimes it is, because there's some pages, if you scroll, if you zoom in, it's like, there's no actual words on that page. It's just random jumbles of letters. Yeah. They only have so much time to dress the
lorem ipsum text, the filler text that you do when you're making something.
Yes. Lorem ipsum, that's right.
I have to look at that a lot for my job, when I'm making documents and shit.
Right.
So in the wall, they find a botanical diagram of Selene capensis, which Dean has no idea what the hell that is. And also an obituary of a neurologist.
Yep.
Who died by going to sleep and didn't wake up.
So the clipping of the Selene capensis is actually African dream root. And it is actually African dream root. It's not a supernatural ism. It actually is what they said it is.
Awesome.
It's a psychoactive plant from South Africa. And contrary to supernatural, it actually smells good. Because we learn later that it smells like ass. It smells like banana, clove, and jasmine.
Oh,
which I'm sure combined may not smell great, but I just thought that was funny. It can induce livid or lucid dreams, but it can also cause vomiting. So, P.S. A word of warning.
Right.
You may have awesome dreams, but then you may just hurl.
Maybe it's something else that's in the tea that makes it smell bad, but also prohibits you from vomiting. Jumped way far ahead, but anyway. So Dean leaves Sam to the steady grind of looking at Bobby's research wall while he goes off to play pretend and
research the dead doctor. Yep. But they left with the idea that maybe what Bobby was hunting started hunting Bobby.
Yeah.
So they were able to kind of, piece together at least that much of their mystery.
Right.
Which, interesting. So Dean goes to the university. This is, I guess, it's an alias. I almost said it's his second alias because Mr. Snyderson, not really an alias. It was just the guy on the phone. This time he's a detective with the Pittsburgh Police Department, Detective Robert Plant.
Yes.
And he's not interrogating. He's asking questions of
he's questioning the assistant of the doctor.
Mm-hmm. I'm always unnerved by somebody who says either I don't have time to be talking to you, like I have other things to be doing rather than help this investigation to a man who died. Yeah. I always think that's weird that people can't set aside time out of their lives to answer questions. They're just cagey about it. Like they don't want to be blamed for it, for whatever was happening, whether it's the death of the doctor or for his experiments, which turn out to be not so on the up and up.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to be blamed for any of this. And it's like, yeah, but that's stop worrying about yourself and, help them investigate what's happening. I understand they don't want to get blamed, but I'm always taken aback when that comes. Like, it's like the second thing out of their mouth is, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. It's like, yeah, but you knew what he was doing. But anyway.
See, I take it as like sometimes cops, or at least how they're portrayed, even on Law and Order sometimes, where they're good cops, but there are times when they go for the throat of somebody Actually, this is almost every episode. They go for the throat of somebody, and it's not the perp, right?
It's not the perp,
who
right.
they think is the perp, but they like grind
somebody's
into
gonna
them.
get run roughshod over by the police. Yeah, right. No, I get it. But the idea of I don't have time for this is like, make time.
But speaking of Law and Order, Dean in this questioning has some amazing bluffs. Like I called them Law and Order bluffs, which the grad students falls for. It seemed to me like someone, if you watch Law and Order, you think, oh, I could be a lawyer, or I could
right.
I could represent myself if needed to. But, she's like, I already talked to somebody about this. Why do I need to do this again? One of the reasons why she's like, I don't have time to do this again. And he says, well, take it to the station, or we could just do it here. Okay, fine. And then later she's like, I don't know, my lawyer told me I probably shouldn't talk about anything.
I won't get blamed for this. It's not my fault.
Yeah. And he's like, well, that was before new evidence came to light, which I'm not at liberty to say.
Right, what evidence?
And that's what she's like, okay, fine. University didn't know that they were doing this, and I didn't know that they were against the rules. And I just want to graduate. I just want to not be blamed for this. And he's like, okay, well, just give me all of his research, and maybe this won't go on your permanent record.
Permanent record. Oh my gosh. So you did a shout out to the props. Props did their own shout out in this scene.
Yeah.
When they first come into the room, there's all these like dream books. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the set dressers' names is in one of the dream books.
As an author?
The Cumulative Dream, yes, by Ringrose. Ringrose was the last name of one of the set dressers. So. Awesome. Shout out to the props.
That's great. So Dean's next stop is at the dorm room of one of his subjects, one of the doctor's sleep study subjects. Dean assures him he's not there for his ferns that he's growing.
Say, all these colleges have huge dorm rooms. I don't know. I want to go to these colleges because my dorm room was a freaking closet, with a bunk bed on each side.
We had basically apartments. Like each apartment had 2 bedrooms in which you shared, a bedroom with somebody, but also a bathroom, a kitchen, a living room. It was great.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
For a little community college, man, they had some good housing.
That's awesome. Good for you. Yeah. I did not. And this guy goes to his mini fridge and offers Dean a beer, which of course Dean can't refuse.
Can't say no.
And he enjoys it. I love it. He opens it, uses his ring to open the beer while the college kid has to use a bottle opener. And cheers. Drinks the beer, enjoys the beer the way Dean would enjoy a beer. And so now they can get down to talking about the doctor and these experiments and the study and stuff like that. And it turns out this kid has what they call Charcot-Wilbrand syndrome, which is a real thing. And it basically means you can't dream due to a brain injury, whether it's a deprivation of oxygen or you had a stroke, something causes your brain to stop dreaming. And that's what this kid has. He says he fell off his bike as a kid. And ever since then, he knocked his head and he hasn't been able to dream.
Until the doctor gave him a bad tasting yellow tea that gave him some very vivid dreams. He described it like an acid trip.
Like a bad acid trip. Yeah.
Bad acid trip. Yeah. Claimed it scared him, and he didn't really want to do it again.
Yep. This is the second reference, because even Dean is like, oh, yeah, I get it. Bad acid trip. And he's like, oh, wait, no. It's the second time that Dean has inferred that he's done the whole drug thing, the drug experiment thing. He's done it, which I find a little backstory on Dean. So back at the hospital, Bobby is still asleep.
Yeah.
Nothing's
Dean's there
changed.
at the bedside. Then Sam shows up with his research results and says exactly what you just said earlier, that Selene capensis is African dream root used for dream walking, not just for busting out didgeridoos and hacky sack to get high, but if used as the legends say, which obviously you must believe the legends, because when don't we? You can control the dreams in someone else's head.
Yep.
So you can turn bad dreams good dreams bad. You might even be able to kill somebody in their dream and therefore killing them in real life.
So I have a question, because this confused me a couple of times in the episode. If you are taking the dream route, you become the dream walker and can walk through other people's dreams? Or does taking the dream route make you susceptible to having someone walk through your dreams?
I would say the first one, but there's a stipulation that we'll get to later. Like it's part of the recipe. So you could take dream route on its own and just have a good time in your dreams. But later we learned that you need a piece of somebody to put in. Like if I wanted to walk through your dreams, you wouldn't have. This is how I'm reading this episode. You would not have to take the dream route, but I would, but with like some of your hair or saliva, some DNA of you. A little bit more intimate than I want to get. Sorry.
Please don't apologize for that.
But if I drink that, then I would be able to walk through your dreams.
I see.
Which is confusing later, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sam and Dean are talking about, they're trying to step through like this, what you and I just did, what the process might be and what the doctor was doing. And I love that they mentioned Tim Leary. They're like, so, the doctor Tim Leary'd his way into, people's dreams. Tim Leary was an American psychologist who is known for wanting to use more like psychotropic drugs. He was a big proponent of LSD.
Oh, this is when when was this? The 40s or the 50s when therapists were just giving LSD as part of their therapy?
Yep.
Yeah. I actually saw a musical based on that.
Oh my God, there's a musical for everything.
Yeah, it was called Flying Over Sunset. And so it was about Clark Gable, some other actress chick, and some other guy, like kind of famous-ish people, all taking LSD, talking about it, and then they all decide to take LSD together.
Clark Gable?
Was it Clark Gable? It was some like really famous old-timey actor.
Wow, okay.
Cary Grant. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Cary Grant. Tim Leary may have been in that musical. Actually,
oh my gosh.
Maybe he was a character. Okay, so anyway, I didn't know that reference right out, but
no, I find it so interesting though that Sam did, as part of like his college studies, he would have learned about Tim Leary.
But they also mentioned Freddy Krueger, which I haven't seen that movie, and I assume
I was so hoping that you knew all of the movies. And
why would you hope that? Why would you think that I would know all of the movies?
Because I don't know the genre, not necessarily. I mean, obviously, age type. I should have been the one to have watched.
No,
them.
I just mean because I don't know any movies. How many times have we been like, oh, I haven't seen that?
That's true. What was I thinking?
But I think because Freddy Krueger is the monster of Nightmare on Elm Street, so he must chase you in your nightmares, I assume.
He kills you in your dreams. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, there's probably people listening being like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me?
I can't believe that neither one of you have seen any of the Freddy Krueger. Right. But yeah.
So while they're talking about this and also asking, why is Bobby still alive if this is our theory that he can kill somebody in their dream, like he killed the doctor and then and died in real life, why is Bobby still alive?
Right.
So then they cut to inside of Bobby's head in his dream, and he's still being chased down by this monster, but he's locked himself in, it looks like a closet.
Closet at first.
Yes, but then the camera does this really cool thing where it pulls back and it's kind of like this never-ending hallway, like a Willy Wonka type of closet. But Bobby is terrified in this closet.
Absolutely. I call these shots where like the hallways stretch, I call them like either the Shining hallway, which
Yeah.
is what I called our hallway in the apartment.
Yes.
The shining hallway. But it's also an effect they did in the Poltergeist movie, where you can never, it's a never ending, you can never escape.
Yeah.
You just are just running and running and running the hallway. Just, you can't get to your destination.
Yeah.
Because the hallway stretches. So Bobby's in one of those.
Yeah, he's in a poltergeist closet.
And this woman is not just screaming, she's like hollering and shrieking. It is
And pounding
so
at the door.
disturbing. Yeah, and rattling the doorknob and just trying to get to Bobby. And it's horrific. It's like a banshee screaming at him. And he is terrified. He's absolutely terrified. He closes the door and starts yelling for help. Like, this is something we don't ever hear men do. He doesn't just yell help. He's like, help me. Somebody, please help me.
Yeah. And now we're back in reality. The boys have a little bit of a hospital walk and talk. Talking about who their homicidal Sandman could be. Maybe it's a test subject of the doctor, but there's so many of them. Or what the studies even consisted of. Like, what were the studies that they did?
What do we do? Well, we would talk to Bobby. Oh, wait.
Well, why don't we?
Yeah. I think Dean always has, like, the harebrained idea, and it's Sam who's like, no. Okay.
Yeah.
So they decide that they need to basically tiptoe through Bobby's tulips there, and they need to enter his dreams.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, they don't have any African dream root on them. How do they get it? Bella. And I think the entire audience at the same time just went, crap, Bella. Yeah, crap, Bella. And God damn it, Bella. They need to stop Bella. They need to stop using Bella. The writers and Sam and Dean just need to stop. It's like, haven't you learned already?
Yeah, I know. I have mixed feelings about Bella because she had such potential. She really did. But I'll talk about that in a future episode because there are things to be said. Not from me, but from the writers.
Oh, okay.
But it's because the writers were given the task of you need 2 female leads, or, lead-ish, which they had Ruby in mind. So Bella was kind of a last-minute addition. And they did have trouble trying to work her into the storylines of various episodes. So, like, this one feels to me very forced because doesn't Dean have all of the doctor's research and findings? Like, isn't it somewhere in there that he could find? Where you get it. Wouldn't it be in his stock? Couldn't he just break into his office and find it in his drawer somewhere?
Right.
Or his house? You know, it can't be that hard to get that they have to
African dream root. It's from
out
Africa.
To Bella. Right.
Yeah.
Granted, she is a procurer of occult items and other such things.
Yeah, but this isn't some nasty, shrunken, dead man's hand. This is a naturally occurring, growing botanical.
Right. So this one was a little bit, okay, well, we have to put Bella in an episode. I guess we'll throw her in here.
Well, I mean, collective eye roll. I just want to say collective eye roll. Now, the way she enters into the episode, I fully approve. I fully approve of Bella entering into this episode, which is back at the motel.
Yeah.
Bella shows up in a trench coat, and it turns into this, like, Sam opens the door and is like, Bella, what are you doing here? She's like, oh, I heard you needed help. And it's like, suddenly she takes off her raincoat and she's in this negligee. And Sam at first is like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I thought you needed help, And it turns into this, pizza man delivery episode where,
it's now like, it was actually you I've been after all along.
All along. And he's like, are you sure? And then boom, she's thrashing around on the bed, hollering Sam's name. And it turns out that obviously Sam is dreaming, and he's woken up by Dean going, Sam. So Dean has fallen asleep on his research. He wakes up with the biggest pool of, Sam wakes up with the biggest pool of drool. I mean, gross. So much drool. So he's been having a sex dream about Bella to the point.
Can't even get out of his chair.
Right. Physically incapable of standing up.
There are some good visual bits here that are kind of hard to describe in a podcast, but it's the way that it's how awkward Sam now is, realizing his subconscious crush on Bella.
Right.
Where now all of a sudden, Dean mentions her name and he's like, "Oh, what'd she
say?
What'd she say? What'd she say?
How's she doing?
Hi, Bella. Hi, yeah."
Did she mention
Bella,
me? Did she ask for me?
Yes. Very cute, very funny.
Yes.
Loved this whole scene. So Bella does show up, even though she did refuse at first. In a trench coat.
Which, when she takes it off, she's wearing a sweater and jeans. So it's fine. And I think Sam is relieved and disappointed at the same time.
Yes, because he did kind of turn a little bit extra in his chair there to be like, ooh, what's in there?
Which way? Oh, okay. Yep. And she, the guys are like, why are you even here? You said you weren't going to help me. And she says, I'm not here for you. I'm here for Bobby Singer. We learned Bobby's last name.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
We never knew Bobby's last name until Bella mentions it. So Bella's there in real life, not in a negligee, and she has brought with her the African dream root and is all ready to help Sam and Dean go into the dream world and do this thing to help Bobby.
Mm-hmm. Because Dean says, I don't know if we mentioned this, because he saved her life in Flagstaff.
Yes.
At some point, so she's returning the favor, according to Bella.
And Dean's like, no, you're not. Thankfully, Dean is smart and is like, no, we don't trust you. Sam and I got this handled. You can just, hang out. Watch some, use some magic fingers, which is Dean's favorite thing, and watch some Casa Erotica, which is Sam's favorite thing. Bella's not happy about being left out, but she's fine.
Yeah,
she's fine. So Dean takes the jar of dream root and locks it in the hotel safe, along with the Colt.
Yeah, and all while Bella is standing in the room. That was my eye roll moment. It wasn't the fact that they're bringing Bella in. It was they still haven't learned.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Eye roll number 2 for me.
Yeah.
So the next thing we see is Sam and Dean have brewed the tea.
Yes. And this is where Sam mentions the fact that you need some part of somebody.
Yeah.
So he has Bobby's hair. This is much like Polyjuice Potion in Harry Potter, which Polyjuice Potion is something that you brew for a really long time, like months. And it stinks and it tastes bad, but if you put a piece of somebody's hair or nail clippings or whatever in it and you drink it, then you can turn into them for a period of time.
Oh, gosh, I don't remember this. Okay.
Yeah, so you can, if I wanted to turn into you and drink some Polyjuice Potion with your hair in it, then I could turn into you. And it lasts like, I don't know, an hour or something like that. But
and again, I understand you have no desire to do that. No. I get it.
The whole dream root tea and the hair thing, this was like this Polyjuice Potion, but for dreams.
But this came out first, right?
No. Because it's in
Harry
the book.
Potter
It's
did.
in the book too. And the books have been like, that was in the second book, which I think was pretty early.
Never ask a writer where they get their ideas from. So they sprinkle Bobby's hair into the tea. They both realize it's going to be disgusting, but they drink it anyway.
Yep.
And nothing seems to happen.
Right.
They're both sitting on the edge of the bed like, you? Anything? No. You?
Nope,
Anything?
Nope.
Except
all of a sudden it starts raining, and when they look out the window, it's raining upside down.
Upside down. Huh, when did this happen? So they go to the window to check it out, and when they turn back around, the hotel has disappeared.
Right. There's somewhere else.
Gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and it looks like they are now in Bobby's house.
Yeah, and it takes them a while to realize it. Dean is like, are we in Grandma's, bed and breakfast or something?
Right.
And Sam is the one who's like, wait a minute, picture it, a little bit dirtier, the wallpaper down, books everywhere.
Books everywhere. Oh my gosh, this is Bobby's house.
Yeah.
They got one answer. Okay, we're in Bobby's house.
Yep.
And so Sam, I don't know. Did he hear something, see something? Sam, I think, sees something that takes him outside. He's like, I'm going to go outside.
He says, I think I'm going to go check outside.
Mhm.
And Dean says, no, don't. We should stick together. And Sam's like, I'll just be right outside, which...
Right. I'll
he
be
goes
right
out,
back.
Yeah, he goes outside. It's like a different world out there. Like the color grade, the color washes now, like
It's
super
all
vibrant and
super
saturated.
vibrant. Yes, birds are chirping super loud.
It's beautiful. I want that
Yep.
yard. But then he turns around and tries to open up the door, and it's locked. He tries to scream at Dean from outside. Dean cannot hear him. He's completely
He can see
oblivious.
Dean, but Dean doesn't hear him.
Yeah. So now they are separated into their own sections of Bobby's dream.
So for just a quick second, when the door slammed behind Sam, locking him outside, the noise from inside the house stops, and all you hear is like the silence and birds chirping and like the outside noises.
Yeah.
I had to hit pause for some reason. I don't remember why, but I hit pause for just a second, and it was such a beautiful day here that all my birds chirping like matched the birds chirping.
Oh, weird.
On the TV. So it was like I hit pause and it was quiet for just like a nanosecond before it was like tweet, 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 tweet outside. I was like, oh, that's just weird.
That is weird.
I was like,
maybe they
door
heard
slam.
your birds. We're like talking to each other.
So Sam is locked out, has decided to just go and investigate.
Yeah, the outdoors. Dean, in his wandering, finds Bobby barricaded in a room. I guess this poltergeist closet that we saw earlier, or a different room. But the door that he finds Bobby behind is covered in scratches.
Like someone's been clawing to get into, to get at Bobby, to get in there.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Bobby calls out, like Dean's calling, like, Bobby, and Bobby calls out. He's like, who's there?
Yeah, yeah.
So Dean knows that he's behind that door.
Right. And when Bobby does come out, it's weird because he knows who Dean is at this age, right? But is confused about Pittsburgh, jobs, monsters.
What is Dean talking about?
Yeah.
And why is he there?
Yeah.
Dream
route,
you scared?
He's like, what? What?
Yeah, and he's scared for Dean. He's like, we gotta go.
Yeah.
We're both in danger now. So Bobby is still fully fixated on this screaming woman who right now we can't hear. But he's still fixated on this fear that he has.
She appears and she's, looks of death and is also covered in stab wounds.
Yeah, and he's like, that's what, you don't see her?
Yeah.
You see that? That's what I'm running from.
Yeah. Dean's like, who the hell is that? That's Bobby's wife.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
They do a quick little passover with the camera. The next scene we see is a picture of Sam and Dean still at the motel, still at the Peacock Motel, both completely knocked out, laying across their beds, like, teacups next to them on the bed. So they're still fully asleep or under the effects of that tea. And we only see that for like a second. It was like, look, they're still there. Cut to Sam back outside in this beautiful, idyllic backyard scene.
Yeah, he's kind of
still
wandering
bright
around.
and sunny, but spooky at the same time. Back inside, wifey with the stab wounds is basically emotionally torturing Bobby, saying, why did you do this to me? Look what you did. Why would you do this to me?
Yeah, really playing up the guilt trip for him.
And my first thought is, oh my God, did Bobby stab his wife to death?
Well,
is he replaying this? Well, you say, well, yeah, but we don't know this up to this point. We don't know anything about Bobby.
Oh, that's true. But I feel like by the end of this episode, I've learned that, yes, he did. But because, and he says, like, seconds after this, is, I didn't know you were possessed, and I didn't know what I knew now.
Right.
So I didn't know what to do. I just, you were attacking me, and I had to defend myself.
Right. But, I wrote down right before he said that, I wrote down, oh my gosh, did Bobby murder his wife?
Okay.
That's what I wrote down. And then, of course, he says, you were possessed.
I stabbed you.
I didn't know what I know now. I didn't know how to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And so clearly his guilt over now he has the tools to help her. He learned once she was dead, there's this other world out there.
Right. So back outside, Sam wandering, then gets attacked all of a sudden by a baseball bat. And it's that kid.
Yeah,
the fish
college
guy.
kid. The beer kid. Yeah, exactly. I keep calling him the student guy. And he just wails on Sam with a baseball bat.
Yeah. And he's just like, you're not supposed to be here. Like, this is not on schedule, you know?
Right. Like, what are you doing here? And Sam's like, well, you're not supposed to be here either.
Yeah.
You know, unless you are, dun, 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 the killer.
So this kid is on a superpower trip because, like, look what he can do with these dreams. It's pretty crazy. And the doctor, you know, wanted to take it away.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if we learned that yet right now. But
We don't. But
what
essentially, in his
he's attacking Bobby since he found out the truth of, like, what he's doing. But he wants to keep that power going.
Right.
So
he doesn't want to be stopped, and Bobby was in there.
It was in his way.
So back inside, Dean's trying to convince Bobby that he's dreaming and that there's a way out. You know, and it takes a while. It takes Bobby a while because he's not understanding. And Dean is like, this is a dream. You can wake yourself up. You can stop this, you know. And he has this moment of truth with Bobby. And he says, I'm not going to let you die. You're like a father to me. So in this moment, I will accept now that Bobby is a father figure to Sam and Dean. A little personal note there. I shall accept this. If Dean says that it's so, I will accept the fact that Bobby Singer is like a father figure. But so Dean is desperately trying to get Bobby to take control of his dreams. Take control of your dreams. You can wake yourself up. You can rework this. This is your dream.
Yes, because Bobby was on the verge of being like, just let her kill me. Just let this end, please.
Yeah.
And so Dean finally does enough for him to believe, wait, I'm dreaming? Are you sure? Let me try. Thinks real hard. And then all of a sudden the screaming woman stops. Silence.
No more rattling on the doors.
Great. That's step one. Now you got to wake yourself up.
Yep.
Thinks real hard. And then all three men wake up at the same time. The boys in their motel room and Bobby in his hospital room.
Just as Sam is about to get beaten.
Oh, yeah, like
with the baseball
the kill
bat
shot, I assume, with the baseball bat. Yeah.
I just want to point out that as a chronic sufferer of nightmares, one of the things I have learned to do is to recognize when I start to have a nightmare that I can wake myself up. And I will. As soon as I start to realize in my dreams that this is going to be a nightmare, I wake myself up. I tell myself, Valerie, wake up. And I'm able to wake up so the nightmare doesn't continue. Oh. So I just want to point that out. It's kind of weird. But again, as a chronic sufferer of nightmares, you have to learn to snap yourself out of it. It does. Most of the time, the nightmare stops for me. And when I go back to sleep, I don't continue where I left off.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a little while. And every once in a while, I will continue the nightmare when I fall back asleep. And then I have to say, like, no.
Yeah.
No. That's not it. Wake yourself up and start over again. Yep.
See, I don't remember a lot of my dreams. Actually, and I think this was actually a phenomenon of a lot of people, but during the height of the pandemic, when people were in lockdown and all of that, I was remembering them, and they were very vivid and weird. Occasionally a nightmare, but I've never been able to recognize that I am in a dream while I'm in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's always kind of a weird half-awake situation where sometimes it's, I feel very awake or like I'm not in a dream, but the dream is still kind of happening, but I don't have any control over it. Like it's still just going on. For instance, you know that recurring dream that many people have where they're still in school and then they realize at the end of the year, oh my God, I didn't go to algebra class at all and I have a test tomorrow.
Yes.
More and more vivid and more realistic, but I still feel like I'm kind of awake. But then I wake up and I'm very confused for a few minutes.
Wow. Yeah. I used to hate in high school, I would have dreams that I took the exam. And so I'd wake up going, whew, you know, and then be like, oh, I still have to take the exam
Oh,
because
that sucks.
I took it in my dreams, so you went through all the panic state in your dreams of having, to take the exam, and then you're like, oh, thank God. And then you wake up, you're like, fuck, I still have to take the exam.
Isn't that
Not
weird
a
how some
nightmare,
dreams
but-
are like universal like that? Like everyone has had that algebra. It's always algebra too. It's
Yep.
always algebra or history.
Yep.
Sometimes for me it's history. But it's always oh my God, it's like the semester's over and I've only been to this class once and now I have to take it to the final.
Everybody else knows the answers
Yeah.
except for me.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Well,
Okay, so boys are now all in the hospital, discussing the case and a strategy with a now awake Bobby. Dean gets personal with Bobby, asks him, "Hey, was this thing with your wife? Is that true?"
Yeah. Did you have to stab your
And
wife?
and Bobby's answer to that is everybody got into some hunting somehow.
Yep. And so now this is another big truth we've learned about Bobby. A, his
Yeah.
name's Bobby Singer. B, that he wasn't a hunter. He hasn't always been a hunter until after what happened to his wife.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point, is everybody got into it somehow. Sometimes it's just stumbles on you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're born into it, I guess, but
yeah. Well, even those crappy characters, their daughter was killed by a vampire, and so that's how they got into hunting.
Yeah.
And
Gordon, his sister was grabbed
turned
by a vampire. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So now that Bobby is awake, he's able to at least discuss the research that he was doing before he was, entranced in his dreams. And it turns out that he puts his finger on the student guy. He's like, yeah, this not some weird stoner guy. This guy was a genius.
Yeah.
Surprising given that his father almost beat him to death with a baseball bat.
Makes sense now, his weapon of choice in the dream world.
Right. So the question remains, though, how did he get control of Bobby? How did he end up in Bobby's head? And Bobby admits, he's like, ugh, he offered me a beer. And I drank
it. Stupid,
right? And I love Dean. Dean has these Deanisms. He's got super cocky Dean, and then he has like super bumbly Dean. Like, it makes it even more endearing because of how cocksure he is about life in general and about who he is as a hunter. But he takes a beer from someone that he doesn't know, and then he's like, oops. What? No, it's oh dear. So this is where my confusion started to build more, which is, so he drank the beer that had something of the guy, the student, in it, right?
No, I think what he was saying is that the student gave him a beer and then Dean drank the beer, and I'm guessing he left the bottle behind in the dorm room, so now
the guy has his
Jeremy has his saliva, which is his DNA.
Okay, because I didn't get that. I was like, so...
Because my thought was, when he offered him a beer, it was just like...
tainted.
Right, but it was sealed. It was not an open container.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's why I had confusions. I'm like, does it go both ways? Can Dean drink something of this guy? So that's not what it was. It was that the guy
took his DNA from the trash bottle.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can swab it just like Law and Order does, or CSI. They do a little swabby swab on the mouth of the bottle.
Yep. So 2 days later.
Yeah, because they're like, Sam is like, you idiot. So now they have to make sure both of them don't fall asleep, otherwise Jeremy's going to get in
their dreams. Yep.
And 2 days later, Dean is not dealing with it in a good way.
He's super grumpy.
He is over-caffeinated, he is sleep-deprived, and he's dealing it in a very aggressive, grumpy way.
Well, Bobby's like, don't yell at me.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm here to help you. You're the one who drank the beer.
Yeah. To set the scene, the boys are in the car driving somewhere. Bobby is in the motel room with Bella.
Right.
Bella is doing her little trick of talking
board,
talking to the spirit talking board. What the fuck do they call it?
A spirit talking board.
Okay.
They couldn't have come up with a different name that sounds something like Ouija, but something that wouldn't get them sued for copyright.
Right. So anyway, she's trying to find out where he is. The spirits are not talking.
Bobby hasn't found anything, so they're both like, well,
Oh, I guess we'll stay awake. Bobby, finally gets a chance to speak to Bella on camera and say, why are you
doing
here
this?
anyway?
Right. If you're not helping, what are you doing here to begin with?
Right.
And she brings up Flagstaff. She's like, Flagstaff. And Bobby's like,
Oh,
okay. So
Flagstaff.
obviously there was something in Flagstaff because he doesn't say, what are you talking about? So there
Right.
is something that happened.
Maybe.
In Flagstaff.
See, I thought right here at this moment that, he was just going along with it and was like, I actually don't remember what happened in Flagstaff, but he's just, right.
Oh, see, I thought he was like, really? Because that wasn't such a, okay.
Yeah.
It was,
later
we find out. Yeah.
So then Dean finally can't take it anymore. He pulls off to the side of the road and preps himself for a nap.
He's like, bring it on, basically.
Yeah.
He's like, I need to sleep, and the only way I'm going to get this guy anyway is if I'm asleep, so bring it. And Sam's like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
If you're going, I'm going.
Yeah.
Grabs a piece of Dean's hair, and we assume, he's going to drink the dream root with the tea and stuff with the hair. And I love this. Dean is like, I don't want you coming. And it's not because he's being all heroic, but it's because he's like, I don't want you
rooting around in my head.
In my head, yes. He's like, I got secrets, But Sam's not buying it.
He's like, too bad. You're gonna have to suck it up.
Yep. So he drinks the tea, and then they both wake up still in the Impala.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's like, anything for you? No. Anything for you? No. Oh, why are we still
here? Still in the car, still in the woods. They get out of the car to wander around, and then the scene changes. We have a nice little soundtrack of the title song.
Springtime or something. No,
it's Dream a Little Dream of Me.
Oh, it is Dream a Little Dream of Me. Yes, that's right.
And then and then the camera pans off to an open glen where Lisa is sitting. And she's got a nice picnic set up. She's wearing a beautiful sundress.
I have a question about this going into this like you, because it is dark. It is like they're in the woods and it's dark and kind of misty and stuff like that. And then you see this shape in the woods, and then the light cue comes up and it's bright and it's Lisa.
It's a spotlight,
in this scene.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did they intentionally make it a crappy light cue to make it like very like boom, here she is?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, that makes me sad that you're like, oh, that's a crappy lighting cue. I have to say,
I mean, intentionally dramatic, like intentionally noticeable that that things are changing. It's not just she wasn't just there and it's a beautiful day. It's that she was placed there and now we're in the scene.
Right.
Well, for me it was a distracting light cue.
Well, I don't know. He's in a dream. Like
I know.
I think they were trying to make it very obvious that
wasn't real.
They're in dream world. Because they do it with Sam when he's outside of Bobby's house, where it's a very unrealistic color palette outside. Right. And same with inside. Dean, like, it's a completely opposite color palette and color wash, where it's, like, muted, it's dusty, it's faded. So nothing is realistic in dream world. And this fit that theme for me.
The reason that this is noticeable to me is I want to show you a clip when we're done with the podcast.
Okay.
I'm going to show you a clip of why in this moment I chose to point this out.
Okay.
It's only because I recently was watching something that did something very similar, but on the comic side of things.
Oh, I see.
So that's all. It is nothing against Supernatural. It's only because I was influenced by a show I recently watched.
I see. It also may have been because they've done this before when an actor cannot come up to Canada and film. They go somewhere else, or they maybe have like an on-site camera do the work. So maybe that was the thing. Is like, okay, here's a completely different sound stage. Right. So let's really just let's go with it. Yeah.
No, I get it. And yes, you're right. Cue the music, Dream a Little Dream. It's a beautiful scene. I mean, it's Lisa. She's sitting on a picnic basket. She's looking very idyllic.
Yeah.
And very appealing, not in a sexual way, but just in an overall, it's kind of like, Sam and Dean have switched here Dean is now being shown his softer, vulnerable side, you know, the things that he actually does want and doesn't have in his life. Whereas like so far we've seen Sam having the horn dog side, you know, the sex dream of Bella.
Yeah.
You know, so they've kind of switched here.
Yeah.
And it's really remarkable. I think it's more remarkable for Dean to be shown wanting and missing love.
Yeah.
As opposed to Sam, you know, secretly having lustful, you know, wants and needs.
Yeah. So a note about this. The original idea for these dream sequences was to have, I think it was Jason from Friday the 13th come after them. This was Eric Kripke's number one what he wanted. Yeah. This was on the DVDs.
How does that work?
Because it's Eric Kripke and that's what he wants. He wants like a horror guy chasing after them with a chainsaw.
So in Dean's dream, it would be
I think it was going to be a theme throughout. I think is what they had, like Jason just popping up in almost everybody's dream. Like I think that was what What's His Butt was using as the monster. That's how I'm going to interpret it. He didn't go too much into it. He was just like, I really wanted to have Jason as a part of the dream world.
Okay.
But they didn't learn until like almost last minute that the rights to that character were not available. Like they would not be able to use that character.
Oh no, so they had it all written out and then they couldn't use it?
Yeah.
Oh,
they couldn't
use it.
So then that's when it turned into this. But Kripke did say, you know what? It was for the better because now we learn all these new depths about Bobby. We learned this, you know, cute, fun thing with Sam and Bella. You know, that was a nice little twist that we did there of
yes,
exactly what you said. Like, oh, he's watching Dean, you know, get to chase women all the time. And he maybe just actually does really have a crush on Bella. And then Dean's little desire here to have companionship and maybe semi a family life. So he did say, you know what, it was for the better that Jason was the chainsaw guy was not involved.
That's great because one of my favorite lines, one of my favorite moments in this episode is in this moment where you see Dean looking at Lisa. They haven't said anything. Dean, without looking to Sam, because Sam is there, says, "Stop looking at me like that."
Yeah.
And Sam says, "Okay." It's a moment of such vulnerability for Dean, you know, that he's like, he doesn't want Sam to even know that this is something he wants. And he doesn't want Sam's pity. He doesn't want Sam to know. And just that one line, "Stop looking at me like that."
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need your pity. I don't need your guilt. I don't need you looking at me in this moment.
Right. Or I don't need you ribbing me, you know,
later about it. Yeah. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
And
I noticed that too.
Fast.
I noticed that too, that, you know, he says, I've never had this dream before. And then without looking at Sam,
like, stop looking at me like that. And I just put a star next to it. I was like, that was the entire episode totally worth just that one moment for me. So Lisa says, "I love you," and disappears. It's kind of a static, glitchy thing. She disappears and they're left back in the darkness. So the music
back in the
stops.
dark and Jeremy peeking out from behind a tree close to them. They chase after him. Somehow they get separated, and man, I loved this edit here.
Yes.
Adored it. And props. Round of applause to the camera, the editing crew, whoever was involved with it. Dean is running through the woods, and all of a sudden he stops and like turns around and says, "Okay," because he's no longer in the woods. He's in the motel room, or the hallway of the motel, which now is covered in wallpaper of the forest.
The woods. Yeah.
It was a seamless transition.
Yes,
amazing.
It was great because it looked like he was still in the woods, except now he's in, you know, angular walls and there's doors, you know.
Yeah, the wallpaper's covering the walls, the doors, the trim. It's everything. It's a big optical illusion.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that Dean recognizes it because he stops. He's like you said, he's like, okay, this is a change.
Yep.
Dean sees a doorway at the end of this hallway and starts to walk towards it. And it opens. The door opens by itself. Dean goes in, and he sees Jeremy in the room. And Jeremy turns, but it's not Jeremy. It's Dean.
It's him.
And now Dean gets to have a discussion, a dialogue with himself.
Yes.
One of the things I didn't point out earlier, there's the props call out the sunburst, the starburst.
Yep.
Very clear in these shots. It was only for a second I didn't think it was in the previous shots, but it is. So hello to the supernatural starburst decoration on the wall.
Yeah. I think it's a clock this time.
It is. I think it's always a clock.
Oh,
I just don't call it a clock.
Oh, okay.
It's a very small face. It's not one of those like big faces.
Yeah. Real Dean also compliments the looks of Dream Dean. A common theme when he's ever approached by himself. Yeah.
Yes. Aren't you a handsome devil?
Yes. There's a little mano here where Real Dean tries his little trick of, I'm going to snap myself awake because this is my dream and I can do what I want, just like Bobby did. And
doesn't work.
Not working.
Not working. Can't wake himself up. Can't do the Valerie trick.
Nope. But instead, Dream Dean telepathically locks the door, trapping them inside.
Yep.
Nowhere to go
Dean
but to just talk.
Dean's like, I get it. I'm my own worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah. Ha ha ha.
I did like this camera shot because when we first see Dream Dean, he's standing by the starburst, right? He's up against the wall. Mm-hmm. They then very slowly change positions. They just pace around each other. They circle each other. And so now our Dean has his back towards the starburst. So they've changed positions. Mm-hmm. And then they start speaking to each other. And they've moved just enough that for us as an audience member, you have to take a second to ask yourself, who's speaking? Is it our Dean or is it Dream Dean? Just for a second. I just thought it was an interesting little camera take. It wasn't a trick shot or anything like that. It was just enough to make you go, wait, who are we following? And it's only for a second. It's not meant to drag on.
I think they're trying to be a little bit disorienting, but I have to say that Jensen does such a good job here playing two different Deans, and that you know which one
who's speaking
is speaking very clearly, but also subtle. It's not an obvious. It's not a big I'm evil Dean.
Yeah, there's no twirling his mustache. You know. Yeah,
it's subtle but clear enough that you know who it is, and Jensen did amazing with it. So Sam, still in the real woods, he's caught in I called it an inception loop, which he wakes up in the car, and says, "Oh, Dean, hey, we're awake." It's like he has awoken from the dream.
He's like,
but he hasn't, because that Dean is actually Dean. Jeremy.
It's actually Jeremy, and I have to say that scared me.
Yeah, it
scared me because there's a couple of different takes. It's like they were inside the car with Sam, then the camera's outside looking at the boys asleep in the car, and then it's inside with Sam again, and all we're seeing is the back of, quote, Dean's head. Mm-hmm. And so I was still thinking it was Dean.
Yeah.
And so when the figure turns his head towards Sam and it's Jeremy, it did actually cause me to, I don't want to say flinch, but a little...
It was a surprise. Yeah. It's like, oh.
It actually was a surprise. And I was like, thank you for that. Thank you for, not telegraphing. Uh-huh.
But Jeremy then just starts beating him with the bat again. Out of the car, beats him out of the car with the bat.
Yeah, jabs him and throws. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he has a mini monologue where this is where he says, he was so desperate to keep dreaming. I have power here. This is amazing. Right. Can you believe that I haven't been here dreaming this whole time? It's like you never get any rest. Yes, I'm a god in here. So it's a big old power trip. And he killed the doctor because he was going to take it away from him. He was going to take that power away. And now these kids, you're trying to take this away from me, and I can't let you do that. Right. Sorry.
Right. And suddenly Sam finds himself not just knocked out of the car, but now he's staked to the ground.
Yeah.
Suddenly he's now staked to the ground and completely powerless to move while Jeremy proceeds to beat him some more with a baseball bat.
I know. Because the longer he does this, Jeremy, the better he gets and the stronger he gets.
Yes.
Because he's kind of controlling, well, I don't think he's in Sam's head, because I don't think he has Sam's DNA. But because Sam is an equal dream walker in this world, Jeremy is overpowering him. So back at the two Deans, Dream Dean is really digging at real Dean's intrusive thoughts. You know, he's just sitting there drilling him like, you're just an obedient little soldier. You're just a clone of Dad's. The car, the jacket, the music, that's all Dad's. That's not original. You're just following in his footsteps.
Dad loved Sam, and he just had you around to protect Sam because he loved Sam. You know, you were just the lap dog that he trained, the attack dog that he trained to protect Sam.
Yeah. But the nail in the coffin that gets Dean to explode is, your father didn't care whether you lived or died, so why should you? And that's, Dean loses it. Absolutely loses it. It's like this confession about Dad just like vomits out of Dean's mouth. My father was an obsessed bastard. He didn't give a crap about protecting Sammy because he just put that on me, and because he couldn't protect his own family. He couldn't protect Mom. He couldn't protect Sam. He couldn't protect me. He was never there for anybody. I was there for him, so I don't deserve any of this, and I don't deserve to go to hell.
It's all Dad's fault. Yep. I don't.
Boom, literal and figurative.
Yeah, exactly. Mic drop. Boom. And he was fighting back. He was physically fighting back against Dream Dean.
Yes. This is shouting in between, throwing punches and knocking them against the wall.
Exactly. Outside in the woods, Sam's still being beaten by Jeremy.
Yeah, a la Kathy Bates.
Oh.
In that one movie. I haven't seen the movie, but I know the scene.
Misery.
Everybody knows that scene.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep. So back inside, back in the hotel, Dean is looking at dead Dream Dean, smattered with blood, and suddenly Dream Dean is alive. He opens his eyes, and they're black demon eyes. And now Dream Dean is yelling back at our Dean. He's like, you can't escape this. And he's yelling. He's yelling this in his face. It's like, you can't escape this. This is what you become.
Yeah. You're going to die no matter what. And this is what you're going to become. That just like gave me chills when I watched that scene.
Yeah.
Back at Sam, Jeremy is overcome with his hubris and is just saying, like, I'm the most powerful thing in here. Wham, wham, wham.
You can't beat me.
Yep.
You know.
And then Sam says, you're forgetting that I took Dream Route too. And then all of a sudden behind Jeremy's dad appears. We know it's his dad because Bobby showed a picture of him earlier.
Right. Well, he's also like, hey, boy, you know, you come to me when I call you.
Yeah,
and
very
like
typical
this,
abusive father.
Dick.
Yeah. Which makes Jeremy freeze in his tracks.
Yeah.
And
petrified.
I felt sorry for Jeremy right here. I did, because it's like none of this would have happened had the father not been an asshole.
Yeah.
But regardless, it distracts him enough for Sam to, I guess maybe he dreamed his way out of the bindings. Yeah, takes the baseball bat and deals a few final death blows to Jeremy within the dream. Yeah.
And we see Jeremy, who's been lying on a cot. We see him first like startle awake from the first, bash, and then Sam just beats him to death, and you see his body flinch and die.
Yeah.
Which fairly graphic that Sam just beat a man to death with a baseball bat.
Yeah. So in the motel, Sam has filled in Bobby about everything that had happened and says, I just concentrated really hard and I was able to do this. And then Bobby asked the question, which I was asking in the scene prior, which was, how? But he asked it more specifically. Bobby says, does it have anything to do with your psychic stuff? Right. Which we've all kind of forgotten about for a while.
Right. Because it hasn't happened in a while.
Right.
And Sam says, no, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I used my psychic.
Yeah.
No. It was just me.
Yeah.
And I want to believe Sam in this moment. I believe Sam that he believes that he was just did it. So
yeah,
I believe him.
I at least believe that he isn't sure. That he doesn't think so. He could have just been like, oh, no, absolutely not. That's done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he wasn't being flippant about it. I
No.
think that he believes in the moment that he didn't have...
But he also didn't think about it. It wasn't until Bobby said something that he was like, oh, shit, maybe?
Maybe? Yeah. So in the meantime, Dean is like, where's Bella? She's not answering the phone. She's not in her hotel room. Where's Bella? Bobby's like, fuck, Bella's gone. She, check your pockets.
Well, this is where, when they were like, well, she was here because of you, because you saved her life. And he's like, I didn't save her life. I gave her a good deal on an amulet or something like that.
Right.
And Bobby catches on way before the boys do, when they're just like mumbling, like, well, why is she here? What's going on? And Bobby's like, guys, you got to check your pockets.
And they literally check their pockets. Yeah, they both like grab their liver there. They're like, no. Time to do some inventory.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the Colt is gone. The safe is unlocked. She's taken the Colt. And it's like, I'm like, what'd you expect?
I know. Like, how many times have you tried to be careful around Bella? Like, you think that she can't crack into a safe?
Right?
She can, like, take a dead man's hand right from out of your jacket.
Off your body.
It's, when it's against your chest. You think that she can't crack open a fucking safe?
Yeah. I wrote down, why do they keep trusting Bella? Done. I'm done with Bella. I'm done with her.
I think it was like
they weren't cute. This isn't cute anymore.
Yeah.
This isn't like, ha ha, I took your money, ha ha ha. No, it's not cute anymore. Right. She keeps fucking them over.
And it's also, I thought it was a ballsy move on her part, considering the last time they spoke with each other. I think it was the Gordon episode, right? Where she, like, threw them under the bus. And Dean Maid's like, I'm going to kill you.
The next time I see you.
And it was, no, I'm actually going to kill you. And I felt like she was actually very afraid of her life there. Which is why she calls back and says, okay, fine.
Fine, here's where he is. Yeah.
So the fact that she took that, maybe she's not sure how much it actually means to them. Like, she just sees like, oh, I know what that is.
Something else I can
sell.
And I know
it's, maybe she doesn't realize how important it is to them. But still, why?
Screwing with the Winchesters. Yeah.
So immediately they have to pack up to chase her because that's unacceptable.
Yeah, they need the Colt back.
Yeah.
So in the car, Sam and Dean are talking. And they're like, so I know what I saw. What did you see in this whole dream sequence since we were separated?
Yeah.
And Sam tells him everything that he saw.
Yeah, he's just like, I saw what was around me. Like, I have no idea what was going on with you. I was just there with Jeremy getting beaten by a baseball bat.
Right. And Dean lies. He's like, oh, I was just in this other place.
Yeah.
But just a few minutes later, while they're driving, I think he thinks better of it and, is thinking on his experiences and admits to Sam, he's like, you know what? I've been thinking, I don't want to die. I don't want to go to hell. And Sam very nonchalantly says, we'll find a way to save you.
Yeah.
And Dean even more nonchalantly says, okay.
Yeah.
These are not conversations that normal people have, that brothers have with each other. But Sam and Dean, this is a normal conversation.
This is their normal conversation.
This is a normal conversation.
For sure.
And I love the fact that Sam didn't drill into Dean, didn't, I told you so, or what made you come to the, just let it go. It's just like, all right, good. I'm glad,
all right, great. Then let's get to work.
Let's find let's get on this.
But the image of Dream Dean is still haunting Dean, real Dean, in a big way, because we cut back to that moment where
Black-eyed demon,
where Demon Dean wakes up and is yelling at him, "This is what you're going to become," and ends with Demon Dean giving a snap, blackout. Oh, I just love that cut.
And I love that it's like Demon Dean can snap his fingers and end the scene.
Yeah.
But Dean couldn't.
Right.
Like Dean snapped his fingers and nothing happened. But
Yeah.
Demon Dean, Dream Dean can like, boop, done. So I loved this episode.
Oh my God.
I really did.
I loved it
I was
so
confused.
much.
I was confused enough by it that I had to think about it. You know, I had to think about what the boys were doing, why they were doing it, how is this happening?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And a lot of that just came with the questions that I asked already. But I love that I felt like I was involved in the process because the boys were confused. I was confused.
Yeah,
you know, and just the depth of Bobby, you know, Bobby being petrified, terrified, and we learn about his past. We learn his name. You know, now we know why he's a hunter.
Yeah, yeah. And they also establish here, not just for your purposes, but that Bobby is that important to Dean and Sam. He is a father figure to them. He's not just some guy that they go to every now and then.
Right. And he's not just Uncle Bobby from, you know, the unrelated uncle, you know, that the your parents call their best friends uncle. Yeah. He is admittedly a father figure to Dean. And given that Dean explodes with all this vitriol about his actual father, you know, this is all my dad's fault. This is all his fault. He is he's to blame for all of this.
Yeah. And there is also, when they're in the hospital, after they save Bobby's life, Bobby thanks them for saving his life. He says, well, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here, so thank you. And I took a note and said, that was a sincere thank you from somebody who is grateful for the boys risking their lives. Would their dad have done that? And I don't think that he would have. He would have yelled at them for like not actually going after the real perp or for not being smarter about it or something. And no, they would not have gotten a thank you like that.
Nope.
And I think you can see that on Dean's face, kind of a little bit of a surprise of, like, that's the end of the conversation. Like. Okay, yeah. And I also want to make a note again on Jensen's acting here, because there was another podcast I was listening to. It's the Parks and Rec one, where Rob Lowe is a host. And he was talking about, he actually said this right before I watched this episode, about the difference between movie actors and TV actors, and that movie actors have so much more time to get it right in a shot. Like, they spend days on one shot or one scene. And TV actors have maybe one day or like a few hours just to get a scene right. So if somebody can pull it off on TV, then that means they've got some mad skills.
Oh.
And the fact that Jensen had to play two different Deans and make it obvious enough to the audience, disorienting camera work.
In an unobvious way, yes.
Yeah, that they were different. I was very, very, very impressed.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with Jared when he was playing...
possessed Sam.
Possessed by, was it
Meg.
Ruby who possessed him? Meg. Thank you. I mean, there was just enough of Sam in that for it to be believable, but at the same time, it was a different character without it being, again, the twirling mustache, evil twin type of character.
They both do such a good job with this.
Yeah.
And thank God, because it happens all of the time.
Yeah.
And again, another round of applause to props people, the editors, the camera. Everything was just so...
This was
the gears were working all together here.
Yeah. Yeah. This was great. It really... Everything just flowed. It clicked. There was enough, enough little call-outs, enough little Easter eggs, and at the same... It was just great. Oh, I don't know if you noticed when Sam first walks outside of the house and walks into the like dream outside of Bobby's house, his shirt matches the blue of the house.
Oh.
I mean, and so there's just all those little little nuggets of continuity, not continuity, but just of seamless integration between the departments of design. It was just really cool.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well done, everybody.
Yay, props. Okay, what's next?
Oh, I'm very excited for what's next. I have 4 words for you first. It's not the title of the episode,
Oh. Okay.
but you'll know what it is.
Okay.
Heat of the moment.
Asia. Heat of the moment. I know what this is.
Yep. Mystery Spot. So we will be talking about Mystery Spot next week. I'm very excited.
I love this episode. Yep. And we'll get to that next week.
That's
Yay!
funny. Yes.
Mystery
Yay.
Spot.
Very excited.
I
So,
love. Oh my god, this episode I absolutely 100% remember. I can't wait. I
yeah,
can't wait.
yeah. It's a hard one to forget.
Yes.
So, hope you'll tune in next week for us to talk about that. Thank you for tuning in this week. Don't forget to subscribe to us anywhere you can for podcasts, and also a 5-star rating would be really nice too on Apple. We would love that. You can also find us on social media. We are at Salt and Burn This everywhere.
Well, I just want to point out that we are still on YouTube. For those of you who have friends who prefer to use YouTube, we are still on YouTube.
We joined YouTube not too long ago. We don't have all of the episodes yet, just the ones that have started to release, I think, in the past 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think we have 3.
So maybe eventually I'll put the backlog on there, but that's gonna be a long time since
that can be a summer project.
We've put out a lot of episodes.
I know. Look at us.
But yes, we are on YouTube at Salt and Burn This. You can find us there as well. And we will see you next week for Mystery Spot. Bye.
Bye.